and welcome to the Viva la Vulva podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Cara Quant, and I have a so special guest on the podcast today. This is Shan Boodram or Shan Booty, and I have been following you for such a long time. I would say years now. So I've known you as a sexologist and as an intimacy expert, and I've just seen your growth, and it has just been so beautiful. Like it's been inspiring. It's been beautiful. It's been you're just dope. So I am happy. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast today.
I am so opening my heart up to be watered by you, and it's it's so wonderful to get recognition from people in the community, people who are doing the work, and that's like it's all compliments are really, really beautiful, but there's just something special about the community that we share and being able to. You're in LA, right?
I'm in LA, yes.
There's an event on Sunday I'm going to forward you an invite to. This girl, she's a matchmaker, but she's in like the love, sex, dating, relationship space.
Yeah.
And she's having like a networking event on Sunday tomorrow. So I want you to come too. But I should have mentioned this off camera. It doesn't really matter right now for somebody else. But yes, it just popped in my mind that like this community, this sisterhood is something that I crave and something I really want to spend more time investing into. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. And you have a new book coming out. So you are on the podcast because you are a sexologist and intimacy expert, but you also have a new book coming out called Game of Desire that we want to get all into. So I'm excited about that, getting into that.
Yes, dive all into it. I'm ready to
dive all in. Yeah.
Dive on in. Put your wetsuit on, come in naked, however you feel comfortable, dive on in.
Yes. So I wanted to start out by saying you have just accomplished so much. You've been on the Steve Harvey show. You've been on, there's just been so many things that you've done YouTube stuff. There's just been so many things that you have done. You just got married recently. Like, how do you have time to write a book?
Yes. I'm very fortunate to be doing exactly what I want to do in life. I'm actually going back to school in September to get a degree because I don't have a degree yet. I have diplomas, I have certifications, I have an associate. I just never went and got a degree. So I'm going back to school in September to do that. Mm-hmm. And, just a big piece of that is that this is what I've always wanted to do with my life. I wanted to be, from 19 years old, I decided I wanted to be the voice in this space. I wanted to be the Martha Stewart of intimacy and sex and relationships. And so because I'm doing what I want to be doing, I'm just trying to do everything I possibly can within this space. And I talk about, I have this video called Why You're Not Beyonce. And in it, I debunk the myth that we all have the same 24 hours as Beyonce, because Beyonce has a team of, let's say, anywhere from, I'm not friends with Beyonce, so I don't know, but I'm assuming anywhere from like 200 to maybe 500 people. And of course, those teams have teams. And so Beyonce's 24 hours are spread out amongst a lot of incredible minds. And I've recently begun to Beyonce-fy my hours. I'm learning a lot of lessons in that process, but I do have a lot of help and a lot of great people around me. And so I think that's how I'm able to appear like I'm doing a lot, but I got the same 24 hours as everybody else. I waste time on Instagram, all the above.
Yes. And, I feel like I've been more recently needing to Beyonce-fy my life as well, because with the podcast, with working, with, just being a doctor, like it's a lot. And I think that at this time I need an assistant. So
I second that. Yes, you do.
Yes, I need an assistant. So anyone out there listening or watching, if you would like to be my assistant, that just hit me up on info@vivalavulvala.org. And yes. So yes,
Beyonce, that. Just passing opportunities out.
What'd you say?
We're just passing opportunities out. And you know what? That's just something I learned as well too. Like this week has been such a crazy week for me. Because when you have, I think in life, like funerals and births, like they all bring about massive, even weddings, they bring about massive amounts of change, massive amounts of reflection. You reflect on relationships, and like the birth of my book has brought out so many reflections for me, especially business-wise. I made a lot of changes this week. And the one thing I realized is that I'd rather hire independent contractors who I already know are invested in the topic, who love this space, who have a general understanding of it, who know my audience or are part of my audience than I would pay a big company who knows what they're doing, but who has no idea what my passion is, what my purpose is, and who my people are. So that was a good lesson for me, and why I think it's really cool for you to put the opportunity out to your community.
Yes. And that's what I'm thinking. Like, I want someone that is passionate about Viva la Vulva, that is passionate about women's empowerment. Like, that is what, and sexual health, like, that is what I am wanting to attract or to manifest into my life, is that person that is along the same lines, not just someone that's like, I know what to do, let me do this, let me get it done, but someone that's passionate about it. So, and I believe that will happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think so too. We're going to put it out there.
We're going to put it out there.
My partner believes that the Mercury retrograde, which I don't believe in, so sorry for the air quotes, but EU believes that it's whatever energy you put out, you get tenfold. So if you put out chaos, you'll get chaos back. And if you put out productivity, you'll get productivity back. And like, as an FYI, this is our second time trying to record this podcast.
Yes.
Last time my life was in complete chaos. And that's what I got back.
And that's what you got back. But it's okay. We are doing it for the second time, and it is a great day. It's a productive day today. Mm-hmm. Yes. So you have written the book called The Game of Desire: 5 Surprising Secrets to Dating with Dominance and Getting What You Want. Tell us what made you want to write this book.
Yeah, I think I was just tired of the just advice that was given to women in particular when it comes to dating, because women are told to just wait for the right person, just put yourself out there, just don't focus on it, and it will just happen for you. And I wasn't a just motherfucker. My story was not just. I know a lot of people who are not just. Like, they're really trying and they're excelling in every area of their life, and they're just waiting for this one area to figure itself out, and it's just not happening. And so if you're in that position, it's like, take the reins, start applying yourself, because, you know, women, and Black women in particular, are the most educated population group. But women in general have like record high attendance at university, are really like taking their lives into their own hands. And we're seeing that manifest in the workplace. We're seeing the fruits of that labor and that effort, and saying like, nah, I'm gonna count myself in. I'm not waiting for my partner to look after me. I'm not waiting to have a baby to have stability. I'm not waiting anymore. Like, I am going to be my own hero. I'm going to save myself from the tower. But yet still in the dating space, that's not the message we get. We're still kind of told like, no, it'll just work out if you're patient and you're pretty and you keep your mouth shut and you're kind. And I don't think that was my story. It's not a lot of other women's stories. So I was like, I want to provide them with a clear strategy that if they're ready to start making a difference, and if they're done with just waiting and they want to like really know what they're doing, that's who this book is for.
Yeah. And, you know, like I see in the title, it says dating with dominance and getting what you want. And I feel like that word dominance can scare some people, or maybe it scares me because it's like dominant. Like, I'm a woman, and so what do you mean by that? Just taking over for what you want.
Yeah, I mean, I'll full disclosure this and say very rarely does I didn't pick the title or the subtitle of the book.
Okay.
And so you have to kind of make meaning, because it's a publishing company. So that's their interpretation of what the book is about. Even like the 5 surprising secrets are really not surprising at all to me. My 5-phase strategy is like, it's know yourself, it's change what you know is not working, it's learn some new behaviors from experts, it's practice in low risk environments. And then it's once you've created the neural circuits and neural highways and you've traveled them frequently, of course, you've learned new things and you challenge yourself. That's when you can be, right? Like, you can't be great at basketball unless you practice constantly. Now you have the muscle memory. You can't be a great connector unless you've learned all the right tips, discarded what hasn't been working, practice constantly so it's second nature to you, and now you can be that. So I don't find this secret at all that surprising, but dating with dominance, to me, I think I would just interpret that as getting into the driver's seat of your love life. I also think that you don't have to be aggressive. Like, there's 2 ways. Communication to me is not about what you say, it's what you want to accomplish. And what you, I think, want to accomplish is 1, being understood and heard, but 2, it should be enjoyable. And so I always use the example of, you know, if you have a kid and you want them to go and get something, but they're playing, you're like, my phone's all the way upstairs, I don't want to get it. Like, my niece or nephew is here, or my child is here. And you're like, hey, bud, like, you've grown an inch. I think you're so much faster now. My phone's upstairs. Can I time you and see if you can come back in 30 seconds? And they're like, yeah. And they go do it and they bring it back. And, the same thing was accomplished, but the way that you did it was pleasurable to everybody and it was fun. And it wasn't bossy. And so I don't think that you even necessarily as a woman have to go out there aggressively, because you can still have your will met and make it feel like it was someone else's idea. You can still actually be the one who's making the first move without it ever occurring to that person that you actually made the first move. So I would like for you to interpret dominance either in a strategic way, like, oh, I'm putting myself in position to get what I want, or no, I'm going after what I want.
Rather than just allowing, for it to happen to you or to me or to whoever it is that is dating, just doing it passively. So being more active in the dating process.
Yes, dating with activeness would probably be more accurate.
Okay.
Yeah. Although I don't think it has like the same ring to it. So
it does have the same ring to it, yeah.
There's no alliteration there.
Yeah. So now how, because I do believe desire is a really big word and a lot of people use it and I use it on a regular basis to say what I want. But what do you mean by the word desire?
I actually love your answer just there. I think that desire is something that's up for individual connotation. The reason why that word in particular, actually the word desire, if anything of the whole title cover, image on the cover, if there's anything that I'm like, that's me, it's the word desire. I did a podcast last year with CBC, which is like a Canadian version of ABC or BBC. And the premise of the podcast was I did a sex education class, but the age range was 18 to 80. So it was multi-generational, multiracial. And the point of it was like, we're not really all that different. Whether you're having sex, a man having sex with a man, or you're an 80-year-old woman just having sex with yourself, or you're an 18-year-old who's never had sex before, we all pretty much have the same hormones coursing through us, maybe in different doses. We have the same urges to connect. We have homogeneous body parts. So even if we don't like the exact same stimulation, it's like in the same regions. And so yet we treat sex like it's so, well, my mom will understand, or my dad, or they will understand. I even like, this is a bad example, but I'm gonna go there anyways. Whenever someone talks to me about their partner cheating with someone else, they're like, and the most horrific part of all is like, they did the same things with them. And I could just picture them doing the same things that they did with me. And I'm like, there's not a lot of variations. Like, it's not like, what else could they be doing so different, right?
Yeah.
Of course it's going to kind of show up the same way because we all sexually interact in a very similar way. There's more similarities and differences. And so the point of that was really to emphasize that we're all in this together and no one has it figured out despite their age or their relationship status. Sexuality is a constant, ever-changing, multifaceted, awesome part of your life. Kind of like your career. You're never going to fully be like, oh, I have my career figured out. You're always learning more, getting challenged, getting put getting put up, like always, even as a doctor, it's never, the learning never stops. And so it's the same with sex. But the word desire came up in every person's story. If it was a white man who had been married for 10 years, he was like, I just don't feel desired by my wife. If it was an 80-year-old, she's like, it's been so long since someone's looked at me with desire. It could have been a 30-year-old woman who was like, I actually don't even feel a desire to have sex anymore. It's just like not there. My desire to connect with people. Or the 18-year-old who's like, what does this mean? Like I have all these feelings and I just want everybody and everything. Like, how do I control this? And so I felt like that was the bridge word that connected a lot of people. And it's a really important part of our intimate life, whether we are asexual or homosexual, or just wanting to have sex but not really there right now. I think that word is important. But I would love to hear more from you. When do you use it?
Well, I use it of things that I want. So things that I usually use desire when I want something. So I desire to have an assistant. I desire to.
If you didn't hear it the first time.
Yes, second time. I desire to, like have art exhibits in different places. I have, so there's desires that I have that I want to happen in the future, that I want to manifest, that I want to, that I want in my life.
I love that. I love that for you. Desire is something that is in your control. not something that like you want to feel. I like something that you're like, no, like what do I desire? Not does this person desire me, or is this job going to desire me back? So I think that's really, really powerful.
Yes. And you were getting on, the desire is for everyone, for, homosexuals, for heterosexuals, for everyone. And I just recently came out on social media as bisexual.
Congratulations! Oh, beautiful.
Thank you. During Pride Month. And, I feel like a huge weight has lifted off my shoulders, because although my family, my friends, close family and friends knew about that, and they saw girlfriends of mine. That has not been the case for everyone. So I was like, let me do my support. Let me, say who I am. And so I was like, hey, I am bisexual on social media. So I'm asking that, or I'm saying that to say, is this book for everyone? Is this advice, this dating, this game of desire for everyone, homosexuals, bisexuals, heterosexual people?
Yes, I mean, absolutely. I think the thing that I did with the book is that it is not just self-help. It's a story. It's the true story of how I worked with 6 women last year. I thought it would be a 6-week course. I lied to myself. It was definitely like a year. We're still working together to some capacity. And that was a big point of ignorance on my behalf, because I've been in this space for 13 years. And so it might be easier for me to pick up tips. It's like a basketball player can probably learn a new trick if he's been playing for so long, because again, like those neural circuits have been carved out. So for me, I think certain things that I might read a book and adopt something right away and be like, new tip, and I can start putting into practice. But for a lot of them, it just was not like that. And things just were not clicking. It took a very long time for us to get through phase 1. And I thought that would be like 2 weeks. That was probably 4 months, to be honest. So that was my attempt to try to make this, because identity politics are important. You have to see yourself, hear your story. The tips are universal. You know what I mean? And like really what I think the game of desire is a truncation of the past 13 years of my life, of the benefit I've gotten from being in conversations with people like you, Cara, like from learning from people who are smarter and cooler and obsessed with this space and have patience and have these great anecdotal stories. And so I read books constantly. I'm always reading audiobooks. And so this is universal information that I've gathered over these 13 years, and I wanted to see if I could teach other people to put them into their life and to see if it would transform them as it had transformed me. But in saying that, like, yeah, there is one person in the book who is pansexual, and who her thing was she had never dated a woman before. She had extreme anxiety and considered herself to be queer, but 1, had never been in a relationship, period, and 2, just had never put herself out there, and not because her family wouldn't accept it, just because she just felt like she wouldn't be accepted. She just felt like women wouldn't find her desirable, or she doesn't just date women, she dates non-binary, etc. So that was the LGBT plus inclusion, but I'm not going to say at the end of the day, the other 5 women are heterosexual and mostly date just men. So I definitely tried to make it as diverse as possible, but it is not the bulk of the book, and there are no men in the book. All 5 people, all 6 people are women. But this book was also inspired for me by the book The Game by Neil Strauss, which was a very it's mind manipulation for dating. And when you have tactics but you don't have self-worth, like when you're trying to entice, it's like going on a job interview and knowing what to say to get the job, but you actually haven't done any of the work to make sure that when you get to the job, you can show up and do a good job. That's what pickup artistry is. But I still read that book and learned from it. And it was written by a man for men. I found parts I thought were inspiring. I found parts I thought were great for discussion. So I'd like to say the book is universal and interesting for everyone, but I also want to be honest about the identity politics in it.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. And I know that you were getting a little bit into like what are the 5 secrets of dating. So secrets to dating, yes, quote unquote, air quotes.
Air quote secrets.
Air quote secrets that aren't really secrets. And you listed them before, but if you could go into a little bit more detail as to what or some of the secrets are of dating.
Yeah, so there know, change, learn, practice, be. And so no is, you really have to know yourself inside and out. And no doesn't just mean like, I like chips on Sundays. I like to hang out with my girlfriends and go brunch. Like, what is your love language, apology language? What is your attachment style? What does your big five personality assessment say about you? Are you very introverted? Are you very neurotic? What's your VKA? Like, how do you best learn? How do you best interact with others? What's your Myers-Briggs letters? Like, what's your orgasm recipe? What's your ideal relationship structure? So really, when you can actually put the important parts of your intimate self into words on paper and say, without a doubt, this is who I am. And that's what's great about making a resume, right? Like, you clearly define, when you finish your resume, you're like, oh, I can kind of see what job I'm best positioned for, where I would fit in the working world. And that's what the no part really is for you to define yourself clearly, not just for others, because language is really important in affirming, one, that you're not alone. So sometimes too, like with attachment theory, when you find out about fearful avoidance, you're like, oh, there's a word for all this shit I've been feeling. Like, here's a group of people who are just like me, who push people away, not because they want distance, because they're afraid that once someone gets close to them, they're not going to want them. There's a word for that. And there's been studies that are based on that. So, and also too, it's very helpful in communicating that with new partners. Like, just so you know, I have a tendency, I'm a fearful avoidant, I'm working on it or I'm not working on it, but here's what tends to happen. Just be aware of that. I think this is so important to do that. The phase 2 of no, though, is you can't just assess yourself. Like, the mirror can't see itself. You can try, you can do the best you can, and that's important, but you need secondary feedback from somebody who has experienced you in an intimate way. So they had to all go back to an ex that they can trust and ask them, honestly, what kind of intimate partner am I? Where did I not show up for you? Where could I improve? Because I'm trying to have a bomb love life. I'm trying to have better connections moving forward. And there may be things that I have a blind spot to. Phase 2 was to change. And so once we kind of addressed what the source fractures were, or reactionary personas. So a lot of the women, you could characterize them by their reactionary personas. The bulldozer, the nervous Nelly, the Peter Pan who didn't want to grow up, the cactus who felt like she had to put spikes up to protect herself. But I always say, like, you know the movie 10 Things I Hate About You?
Yes.
Or Taming of the Shrew, right? Somebody who's just awful because they've been hurt. And like, that works so great in movies where someone's going to stick around for the plot twist and like fight through all of your meanness to get to this other warm on the insides where the water is. But in a world where the oversupply of women is really high, dating is so it appears very easy, and someone can just pick someone else on their app right in front of you.
Yes, swipe right, swipe left.
To make it so difficult for someone to like you and get to know you. So change was that. Like, we had to really work on and say, I know you've been hurt and you develop these personality traits to protect yourself from a previous experience. But now that you know yourself more and you can make better decisions, you have to let go of this idea that you have to prevent yourself from abusive relationships, that you have to treat every person as if they were your abuser. And that was a really heartbreaking, difficult part, obviously. A lot of learning on my behalf. I am not a therapist. And so we brought a therapist in who actually spoke with the women a little bit about forming healthy relationships. And then phase 3 was learn. And again, I brought in a series of experts ranging from self-defense, because you got to know how to protect yourself. This is the Me Too era. And I think that's brought light to the fact that the people that we are closest to can actually be the most dangerous to us. And every person, I think women especially, should take self-defense classes.
Yeah.
Not that one can help you, but if you even know a little something, like, what's your one self-defense go-to?
You know what? This is funny because my dad, when I was traveling to Mexico by myself for the first time, he brought me into the car and he was like, okay, this is what you're going to do. You're going to carry a pen and a pad with you. And then if anyone comes behind you, you know, like, I want you to walk with this pen. And then if anyone comes behind you and, you know, tries to do something to you, just stick the pen in the eye. And I was like, okay. So that is what my dad taught me on self-defense. And if I am alone and, you know, traveling in a dark alley or something like that, use a pin and stick him in the eye or stick him in the neck or what have you, and get away.
That's awesome. You know what? The eye gouge is probably the best tip we can give to women.
Really?
As it stuns them, it tears them up, and the eyes are pretty easy to dislodge. They're really easy to damage.
Yeah.
To our benefit, everyone is expecting the kick in the groin. So when they approach, like that's their what they're expecting, and like that stands down here. That leaves the face open, right? So the eye is. They say like if you don't know anything else, like the eyes is probably the most important one. So good for your dad.
Well, good for my dad. You know what? I will let him know because he is just always trying to protect me and look out for me. And I thought that it was hilarious, but at the end of the day, he was really, you know, he loves me and he was just looking out for me.
Yes, Dad.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is my self-defense.
Well, that's beautiful. So yeah, Learn was like a little self-defense. We had a communication expert come in to talk about like having your message received. We actually spoke to a phone sex actress to teach them how to tune their voice so people can really hear you and that there's a bit of seductiveness and playfulness in what you do. Because she was saying most people don't pay attention to how fast they talk, to how, you know, high pitched they talk. Like you tune your voice so that people really can connect. Always, as I say that part, I start like purposefully, like I start slowing down subconsciously.
Slowing down your speech.
Yeah, because we all just talk a little bit too fast. We're in a rush, you know. Like you don't talk like that, but I could actually really benefit from that one. We had a stripper.
I've heard that before. I've heard of, you know, using. Now I want to talk slower, but really, yes. The pace of how you speak. You know how Obama speaks. Like Obama speaks very slowly and, you know, deliberately, and you hear what he has to say. So, and it's never fast. It's never high pitched. So I do understand, and I've heard that before from other people about the way that you speak and actually slowing it down.
And that fits like perfectly. Phase 4 was practice. And practice means you have to, if you want to pick up new tips, new techniques, if you want to adopt new things into your idea of self, because I believe self is an ever evolving concept, you have to practice all the time. And I read this book that's called Words Can Change Your Brain. And it was saying that new things, new techniques, new strategies, new gym memberships are literally perceived in the brain as stress because your brain is already doing a billion things. And when you're asking it to have to manually do something different, it's like, buddy, we're already doing 1,000 things. This is what we usually do. We don't want the stress of trying to change right now because we're beating your heart and we are feeling your shirt against your skin and we're looking out for danger and we're seeing if we're hungry. We're looking for pain. Like we're doing a fucking lot. And you want to come here and tell me to speak slower when we've been speaking quick this whole time? Like, so your brain does not want to change and you have to do something repetitively. It's like a road. You have to like go down that road, and the more that you walk the road, the more it will become a path. But the first time you try something, it's like walking through the brush. It's going to be stressful. It's going to be slow, and just doing it once is not going to clear that path for you. That's what practice is like. I say to the women, like you have to flirt with everyone. You have to try to seduce and connect and charm and show up as your best self and talk about your expertise and be your most boldest self person and speak a little slower and make eye contact and be deliberate everywhere with the hot dog lady, with the person in your Uber, with the person line up in the bathroom. And that's how, when it actually counts, because when you're in fight or flight and the stakes are high, you don't get, the batteries are charged. You don't get choices in that moment. You're just going to show up as whoever you are. And that's probably the same as like as a doctor, if you are in the midst of a crisis, you don't get to be like, what did page 7 say again?
No, not at all. It's like you have to act quickly because somebody is going to, code blues are the scariest thing. But there's no time for looking at a handbook or being like, you have to act.
And your brain is just going to do whatever it's been doing. Whatever it thinks and whatever it's been carved out, whatever it's like has been drilled into it. So that's the same when it comes to dating. And those are the 5 phases.
Okay. Well, dope. So thank you for going through the 5 phases with us. And so I have already pre-ordered my Audible version. Yes. And I know that it is coming out on July 23rd, correct?
Yeah, 4 days.
4 days away.
Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so excited, but like it's kind of a feeling of dread. Like we're going to record this podcast and put it out. That's my life. I make a video, I put it out. I write an article, it goes live. Like, so to do something for 2 years and to wait, it's just like, and you get no feedback throughout it. Like my audience has not read the book. I don't know what they're going to think about it. So I'm so used to being in constant communication with my audience. And like, to be honest, I'm addicted to gratification because that's social media. So this has been such a challenge for me to like really just be like, and you got to trust, you got to live and die by your own taste. Your audience is not going to help you. No one's going to correct you. No one's going to like or not like this. You have to really put something out and it's set in stone. It's on paper. And if people hate it, that's what it is. If people love it, that's what it is. So that's kind of fucking terrifying.
But that like people are going to love it or hate it anyway, right? Just like everything, just like if you say a statement, just like if you, like say your opinion, like people are going to love it or hate it. And I've learned that over the years because I've been such a people pleaser. And for me to be like, it doesn't matter. Like, who cares? Who cares what I say? Who cares what I do? Like, this is what I want. This is what I desire to do. So I believe that it'll be great. But you will have those people that are just going to be like, I don't like it. And there's going to be those people that are like, I absolutely love this.
And both are important. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's important. I don't mind if somebody reads it and says, I hate this, because that might move you closer to whatever is going to connect with you. Because you can then put language to say, like, I didn't like this because. And that because will be like, oh, what I actually need is something that has more X, Y, and Z. So, I mean, that's the thing. There's great value in people realizing that you're not the one, or you aren't their teacher, you're not their person, because that moves them closer. And like, I'm not a pusher of one size fits all. I think that we're in a very luxurious time where we get to choose. We get to choose what we want to do passion wise, and we get to choose who we want to love. And we don't need people to have sex because like the population is cool. Like we don't need to force anybody. Like it's all good. We don't got to do it for the team. So if you're going to connect with others, do it for you. Don't do us any favors, and don't do your partners any favors, because there really is no scientific proof that sex is going to create a longer, stronger bond with people. Of course, there's oxytocin and vasopressin, but if people are having multiple partners, it's not as effective. If people aren't cuddling you afterwards, it's not as effective. And so there's too many variables at play for you to have sex for any other reason than because you want to, and it's in celebration of you. And there's too many books out there for you to be listening to one because someone that you watched on YouTube wrote it before. But I hope that even if you love it, or even if you hate it, my one goal for all of my work is everyone deserves to be their own sex expert and their own relationship expert. And you're not going to get there if you don't put yourself out there and try and read books and love books and hate books and listen to experts and hate experts and love experts until you really find your bag, your shit, your resources. And that's when you become your own expert.
Yes. Well, I need to become my own dating expert because I am dating. I'm currently dating, and like I am looking for the one, which at this point, not at this point, but I don't necessarily like that word. But my life partner.
Yes.
I like that better. Yeah. So I'm looking for my life partner. So I'm excited for this book to come out. I actually got the Audible version. So is that the same? Is it the same as the book? Is there like a lot of, is there workbook stuff in the book?
There are some. Okay. I think that like Audible, I'm an Audible, like I can open my Audible right now and we can go back and forth. Like,
I love Audible.
My repertoire, so I'm sitting and looking there right now. Like I will buy a book on Audible, and if I liked it, I'll purchase the hard copy just so I can reference and go back to it. So I bought The Laws of Human Nature. I bought Words Can Change Your Brain. I bought The Science of Happily Ever After. I bought Conscious Uncoupling. I bought The Art of Seduction. I bought The Social Animal. I bought Attached. So if I listen to the audiobook and I'm like, oh, there's stuff in here that I know I'll pull again, I will buy the physical copy. But I'm with you. Go Audible first. Go Audible or go home. There's a couple of activities that you can't do, but I think there's also like a free download that Harper included. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but you could still do some of the worksheets and work activities. There's one activity you're going to fucking love. I'll call it right now. which is the chapter, I think it's called Financial Sponsor, Fuck Buddy, or Forever. I can't recall, but it's something like that. You're going to love that chapter.
Oh yes. Well, I'm excited. I am very excited because, like I said, I do want to be my own dating expert and get this life partner situation
popping off.
Popping off. Yes, exactly.
I will say though, like for me, I'm 34 now, and so like aged 30, I started being a dating expert. And it took me, I actually met my partner at 30, but I was still dating other people, and our relationship was like not a conventional start. We started out as fuck buddies, but I had an incredible time dating. And even though I didn't meet my forevers through online dating, I met people whom made art for my apartment. I met people whom I've gotten graphic design jobs. One of the guys who I met on Tinder styled the engagement photo shoot with me and my partner.
What?
So once I got better at connecting with people, sourcing out who was actually good for me and I could be good for in return, because it has to be mutual value. Even though if I didn't meet my people, I met people that I wanted still in my life. So I would say that, because this book is not promising you, and I would never promise anybody, like, you're going to find your partner after this, because there's a certain magic, there's a certain je ne sais quoi that comes with chemistry. But I can promise you, you will literally never have a bad first date again. You will never meet somebody who wastes your time if you go by this strategy.
Okay.
As I'm saying that too, I'm like, you can't promise that because people lie, but it's not that.
Well, people are going to get what they get out of the book, but there is a certain intention, or there's things that you want for people to get out of the book, and that's what you want people to get.
Bring it home for me. Bring it home.
So, I did tell you that I was going to ask you a vulva question. And since this podcast is called Viva la Vulva, if you can leave the listeners with something that's uplifting, a fact, just some knowledge about the vulva that you feel is empowering.
Okay. All right. Let me think of one that I love. So, during oral sex, it's nice to put your hands on your whole on the mons pubis, like where you grow pubic hair. Putting your hands around that area, one, you can spread the labias apart to give your partner more access, and two, you can move the area up and down, but like massaging the mons. The mons pubis is like a very overlooked part of the vulva and the experience of the genitals, and so. As you know, the clitoris has the legs, and so you can massage the tips of the legs through moving the vulva around. And so that is like a nice, even pinching that area can be quite nice. I think too, enlist some vulva art, especially if you are a mom or if you have daughters or young people or you yourself need to see it. It's really unfortunate, but if you see a vulva in a movie, it changes the rating status. So you can insinuate sex, you can insinuate a lot of things, but like even if you insinuate a man going down on a woman, you have to be very careful. But seeing a vulva in a movie or in TV or even on HBO is like, it's rare.
It's rare, yeah.
And we very rarely see them. We see them in porn, but those are like a very specific, we're going to call them designer, vulva.
Very, yeah. No hair, very little hair. And
yeah, exactly. Small lips, all the above. So you need to show art, see other vulvas. You have to create that space for yourself, because there has never been a higher instance. Like labiaplasty is like one of the most booming fields in plastic surgery. And I understand.
It hurts my heart.
It's if you've never seen other vulvas and the only vulvas you see do not look like yours, how could you not feel like, man, I'm the only person who looks like this or who has this? And every adult I know, because I've been in a couple of shows where they're like, it's gone too far, and the vanity of this generation, the Gen Z meme culture. And you're like, do you have any vulva art in your house? Have you ever sat down the young women in your life and shown them a variety of different vulvas? Have you ever asked them to take a vanity mirror and look and love and appreciate? Have you done that? And if you haven't, how dare you shame them for their shame that you brought upon us, that you haven't put on them as a society. Yeah. So buy a little piece of vulva art. I have one. It's great. Just buy a little piece of vulva art.
Yes, buy some vulva art. It doesn't matter who you are. Buy some vulva art and put it on your wall.
I have a coin purse one, and it's a really great conversation starter. People
You know,
like it.
I
It's
do
funny.
too. I have like it's like a little, what do you call it? I can't even think of the word, but it's not a coin purse, but it's a little bit bigger than a coin purse. It's a purse, and it has "I love vulva," and it's a picture of a vulva on the purse.
Oh, fun! Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So I have, yeah, it's a great conversation piece, and I've used it in a couple of my Viva La Vulva exhibits and things like that. Yes. So, Shan Booty, if you can leave the listeners how to stay in contact with you, how to order your book. Yeah.
Yes, I was just the Game of Desire. Anywhere books are sold. I don't care if you steal it from a friend, you buy it from Audible, you get the Kindle. Like any support is absolutely important and integral. This is the best thing I've ever done in my life. It is my best piece of work. And so if you have ever jumped on or off, I've been in this space again like a long ass time. I always meet people in the street who are like full grown women who are like, when I was 7 years old, and I'm like, fuck, I'm so old. Like, you know. But yeah, I've been in this space for a long time. And so no matter where you've been on the journey, if you've ever been piqued by the content that I do and that me and Cara do, this might be something that you're interested in. So that would be appreciated.
Yes. All right. And how can they follow you on social media?
Anywhere, Shan Booty with a D for my last name, not for my anatomy. That's where I'm at.
Yes. Well, thank you, Shan Boodram, for being on the podcast. I appreciate you so much. And I know that your book will do well. And I am looking forward to listening to it on July 23rd.
Thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your teammates. I will see you tomorrow, possibly.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to forward you that link right now.
Please.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Bye.